Hey everybody, it's Extractor here, Lance's Performance Shop along with Mopars.com. This Easter Sunday, I've got a battery I'm attempting to resurrect. Subsequently, I've got some time to pass, and I have an awkward item in the floor I've been needing to get showcased so I can get it put away. And I gotta say, this is a pretty comprehensive set. It's gonna look similar to some you may own or some buddies might have, or you heck even seen in videos, but it's slightly different and it's significantly cheaper. So what are we talking about? We have from Irwin a 117 piece set, tap and die. This is the super deluxe set, by the way, and I believe the part number, if you're looking to kind of research this by way of Irwin or just on people that sell Irwin, 26377. Don't remember exactly what I paid for this on Zoro. That's where it came from. But that means I bought it from Zoro because 20% off. So if this is something you can get by without, you can skate by, you don't have to have it immediately. You can just go hodgepodge, a tap or die here or there if you've got to have it in the meantime. You will sometimes find these on sales. Never like a huge sale, so don't think you're going to get like 50% and then stack 20 on top. But I mean, 5, 10, 15% off plus, your 20% from Zoro. So it's not unheard of. Well, essentially, this thing right now, as of me filming this, is $329. I think I got it a little less than that. But the big selling point here, you're thinking like, oh no, the tariffs are going to screw this up by the time I watch this video. He filmed this months ago, Easter. Here we are in fall. I missed out. No. Well, this, Irwin Hansen, this is still, as of filming this anyway, and at least with this set, 100% made in the USA. Some of you might be thinking like, whoa, hey, Irwin Hansen, didn't they do the tool trucks? Why didn't you buy it from your Mac guy? Well, the price. This is $329. We'll just call it $330. And the Mac equivalent to this 117 piece set off the Mac truck, granted it would be in red. What do I prefer? That's right, blue. It's exactly double the price. It is $660. $659.99 if you want to pinch those two pennies, but essentially $660 Mac, $330 for Irwin. It's the same thing minus the case. I will concede, if you were a fan of the Mac red case, similarly, their drill bits that are going to be in this kit, they're in what might be a better pouch. Some people might like this. Some of you might prefer like sort of the woven pouch Mac uses. If you have any of their rotary bits or extractors, you kind of know what I'm talking about. If not, maybe I'll remember to link the Mac one. To really put it in perspective for you, there's a 76 piece set that this company makes. It's $221 if you go through Zoro. $495 from Mac. So the 76 piece is $495. This thing is $330. Obviously, aesthetic wise, I would prefer blue. Some of you are like, oh, idiot, this is one of those times you should have chucked up the change extra fast. Over my 15, 20 years in the industry, I've swapped out so many bits and broken taps and whatnot. I don't know if people really break dies frequently. Taps, sure, I can see it happening, especially awkward angles, things you don't really get a good feel on or something. But here's the catch. It's Irwin, okay? You're probably going to have a whole lot in this kit that you never touch, but you're probably going to have a few sizes that you frequently use, especially if you have a job, we'll just say exhaust manifolds, right? Studs break off. You got to go in and clean the threads. Maybe, just got a particular job at work, whether it be automotive or industrial, and it's one of those things you constantly run into. You're going to have a handful of sizes that see frequent use, some of them that you'll probably never touch, just the way it works. But I bring that up. Could I go and throw this at my Mac guy and text him and say, yo, this broke, get me a new one coming? I sure could, but here's the thing, and I'm a big advocate with this drill bits, taps, all sorts of things like that. You don't want to have one, right? It's the situation if you're just retired and you're building yourself a hot rod and you break it, and it's like, okay, let me text my Mac guy and I should have one next Thursday when he rolls through. No. If you're doing anything of any importance, right, whether it's production, assembly line, just trying to crank out repairs, get stuff in and out the door, you don't want to wait a week. Some of you might have like super good service. You know, maybe it's like some tag team deal with the tool truck. I think my Snap-on guy is actually kind of doing that now. But it might be a situation where, boom, drivers can buzz around. They've done their route. They don't have anything going. It's like, boom, let's get them these parts. They're here. Get it out of my hair. I don't have to deal with it tomorrow. That's a thing, but more than likely, especially with my Mac guy, it's like, boom, Wednesday. Could I go meet him somewhere? Sure, but that pulls me away and defeats the purpose. So you're looking at a week, right? Maybe longer if it's out of stock or takes time, etc. He orders it, you know, Thursday, or maybe I break it Tuesday. Well, guess what? It's not coming Wednesday. It's going to come the next Wednesday. With Irwin, and this is one of the big selling points of this, of equal quality, the same thing, identical. You can run, yes, they're going to be expensive at your local Ace or True Value or what have you, but those common sizes are probably sitting there on a peg. Your local parts stores, you know, especially like if it's a Napa type, an old school, like kind of family-owned CarQuest type of a thing, you might get lucky. You could similarly run like O'Reilly's, AutoZone, etc. May not have Irwin. They'll probably have like some house brand or something. I've gotten surprisingly decent taps from O'Reilly's at various points in my life, but it's always like oddball sizes. With this, I mean, these are readily available. Online, probably locally for most of us. That's a situation even like in a rural setting it's going to come through. But the bottom line is, by the time I broke enough, which I hope I never do, but by the time I would have, I'm going to have to break a whole lot of these. You're thinking like, we'll just be generous and say $7 to $15. I'm going to have to do a lot of damage before I can look back and say, man, that 660 was a heck of a deal. You know, I've probably gotten double out of that. Maybe if you buy this, you know, like right out of tech school, and then like by the time you retire, you could look like, hey, people gave me grief for that, but it turned out to be smart. You do you. All right. At work, everything's a lot different than this. I would not purchase this for work. Again, think industrial, bigger, larger scale. But for a homeowner, for a DIY person, for probably, especially if you're into cars, I'm going to limit out like trucks, you know, not building a monster truck or rock crawler. If you're into like going fast or going fast in circles, this is very, very comprehensive. I'm going to say like 80-95% of what you're going to break is going to be present here. Will you have bolts that go through suspension that are slightly bigger? Sure. Okay. But for all the bread and butter stuff in that category, this is very, very comprehensive. And as you get larger with taps and dies, the price goes up exponentially. That said, what do we have? We got number 4 through number 12. Again, this is little stuff, you know, that you might not even ever touch at work, right? But if you're sitting here and you've got like, you know, a drill assembly, headlight doors you're having to put back together in a stripped out screw hole, there you go. Quarter to half inch. Right there, again, half inch down. That's going to cover a whole plethora of what you deal with in an automotive setting, again, particularly for cars, all right? Get bigger, 3/4 tons, diesels, monster trucks, Peterbilt, whatever, yeah, you're going to have bigger. Industrial, you're going to go bigger. But bread and butter stuff for homeowner, automotive DIY, this is pretty solid of a deal. Similarly, you're thinking like, oh, well, geez, dude, I do all metric. I'm into late models. This has you covered there, 6.3 to 12.7. So what does it include? You've got plug taps and you've got dies, but there's so much more. This is super, super large to deal with. I'm going to spin it around and attempt to get you the best viewing angle I can. We might have to decouple from the tripod here shortly. The case in this instance latches, just little blue, I should say yellow sliders. If I open this up, we've got some information here. You can see 76 and 117. This one is 117. This is sort of your table of contents. Some drill bits, some taps, particularly small. They are very, very hard to read. So basically SAE here on the left, like I like it. This is going to be half-20 NF. What is NF? National Fine, right? So this is your fine thread. Okay, you're thinking, man, it's supposed to be 1/4 20, 5/16, 18, 3/8, 16. What's the catch? fine thread. All right, same thing kind of here. You get into like your tiny screw sizes, and then you sort of bush back out. You got your 1/4 20 NC. What is that? It's not North Carolina, national course. Runs all the way through 1/2 13. So essentially, kind of put that in scope for you to wrench sizes. A lot of people still confuse this. If we come in here and we've got 1/4 20, all right, if you're dealing with that, unless you've got a freak fastener, you're going to have a 7/16 wrencher socket, okay? 5/16, you're going to have a 1/2 inch wrencher. If you're sitting there and you're like, well, I'm not really going to use that stuff, think about what you grab and use on the daily. 7/16 and 1/2, just represented there. 3/8, you're going to use 9/16. It's going to run all the way through 1/2. That will be a 3/4. All right. So if you're sitting there and you spin 15/16 all the time, this kit will not have you covered. You will not have your 5/8 11. All right. You're going to have to buy the bigger kit, or let's say that is as big as you go. You get this kit and then you just simply buy 5/8 11 stuff to cover you, right? It's not rocket science, but again, so many times people lose that correlation. It's not taught, right? It's not understood. It's just lost somewhere in translation. Right here, cool thing, we've got SAE at the top. This is going to be this honeycomb looking thing, which reminds me, I got slowed down charging the battery because I had to kill a wasp nest right off the front door of the shop. And when I did that, I thought, well, I'll just walk around while I have this stuff and look under the eaves. I had 3, and I was like, well, geez, it's kind of early here, Easter Sunday, to have all these wasp nests. And then there was one that was massive, and I'm like, okay, well, that's from last year, but I'm out here spraying this crud. I guess I'll just gas it. And, holy Moses, about 6 or 8 of them came crawling out sort of under the eaves of the shop. So I think I've probably eradicated 10 to 12 at minimum. Then I went on the other side, south-facing side of the shop, and there was just one. But yeah, that north side, they must really like it there. So nonetheless, that's what we're going to get. Fine thread, coarse thread, your screws. This does have a pretty nice assortment of tap wrenches as well. Down here at the bottom, you've got your metric. Moving to the metric side, I'm doing this as opposed to showing you the taps and dies through this whole thing and narrating it. Why? You can see this way freaking easier. I don't want to fumble around and waste your time trying to spin a tap and tell you what it is. So this will show you what you've got, and you're going to run to town with it, right? So 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3. That's going to be our small point. There's your thread pitch coming this direction 4 all the way up through 12. So again, think about what you use most frequently, what's always breaking, right? The smaller the fastener, the more likely it is to break in many instances. Book it, see if this is a good idea for you, see if it's a bad idea, and go to town in accordance with that. Now, right here, tap drill selection. This is a situation, are you going to helicoil? Are you just going to drill it bigger and put a new bolt in it? Probably depends what you're working on, but this kind of walks you through what drill bit to use. You're thinking like, okay, well, I've had enough of an education partless session. Let's just see what this thing looks like. There it is. Boom. Do you keep this stuff? Because I do. I don't know why. Everything I've ever owned, whether it's just like a flimsy, nasty piece of paper, a thick, this is actually pretty thick, not going to lie, but whatever it is, I've just always kept it. I put it right back. And it's funny, if you watch toolbox tours, you'll see that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not that weird. Other people are doing it. So even this thing that seems to have no purpose aside from maybe keeping some oil off because it doesn't cover anything. Like, it's like, you want to cover this part, this set. It does one of the 4. All right, what's the purpose? I don't know, but it's going to go back in here. So that's just the way I am. Over here, we've got metric, just what I ran you through over here that you can kind of start to see the tops of the larger taps. We've got our SAE. So if I come over here and fish this guy out. By the way, I am curious on blow molded cases, what do you prefer? Would you want, like, if you're a green tool person, do you wish all your blow mold stuff was in a green case? Do you wish they were like different colors where you're like, okay, blue is my tap and die, red is my thread repair, black is my coolant pressure tester? Do you have something like that? Do you wish they were all black? Do you wish they were labeled? always interesting because that's one of those things you don't really get to customize or personalize. And what I'm attempting to do here is not working well. Let me wipe some of this oil off. Maybe now, with the black backdrop, we can get it. Alright, I picked the biggest one so I could hopefully show it to you the easiest. What you're looking at, as you can sort of see there, half 20. There's like a big laser-etched Irwin logo, and underneath that is Hansen. It does have USA. It's got 29/64ths under the tap size. There we go. That might be the best I'll ever get this to do for you. So, Irwin Hansen, right here. Good grief. Half 20 there. And then we've got the tap size and 29/64ths. Take a guess what the 29/64ths would be, right? That's it. We're not going to subject you to that. That's half 20 down here. This one, big mamma jam in the end, half 13. Again, if you break things considerably larger than this, this is not the kit for you. It's a good starting point, and if you break small things, but if you're needing a larger size, those are available. They're very expensive. Even from Irwin, you know, the price ratchets up a lot, but like tool truck stuff, woo, you're getting up there, man. That's almost a place where if you're doing that and it's outside automotive, I would go through like an industrial supply warehouse type of a thing because you're going to save a ton of money. But again, some people, if you've got the trucks there all the time, so be it. It is what it is. All right, so what do we have here? This little gem, some people don't ever use these. Some people have no idea what these are. I don't know where the old guys are that are supposed to teach the young people. This is incredibly valuable, this. It is a thread pitch gauge, okay? So, if we kick this out, and I like what Irwin did here. They've given us silver for SAE, and then they've given us red, or gold, I should say, for metric. Just quick at-a-glance identification. Where are my stainless bolts? Usually I have one sitting around here. Don't mind everything cascading like an avalanche in the background. It's just one of those things. But, oh man, I've got everything I need except what I want. It's always right there. Well, you know, we'll just, here it is, out of place. What I've done here, these things, rooster head, hen's teeth, feet, paws, gloves, combs, whatever you want to call it. If I can get this to dial in, let's make sure I've got the side with the number. I don't. That would help. Man, this just is not wanting to focus on anything today. Do you see what looks like a 16 right there? Well, you'll just have to take my word for it. This to me is like elementary stuff, but there's so many people, particularly when I hire someone new and I like have to explain all of this to them. But do you see how perfect that fits? 16. That is your thread pitch. This is 3/8 You're like, how do you know? Well, number one, if we had a wrench or a socket, 9/16 is here. If you don't know that, a bolt gauge. I see people buy all the time the expensive, like anodized or stainless things where you sit there and you kind of Home Depot has them, you know, and the guy runs and like, well, what size is this? And you spin it in there like a doofus for 10 minutes. You know, all you have to do, there's little cheap things. They're significantly cheaper. It's plastic most of the time. This is going to go, and there's a bunch of pre-drilled holes. It's not going to go here. It'll go here, but it's kind of wonky. There's a lot of space. It fits like really good here. You look at the number, it's 3/8. Now your next thing, if you can't look at that, which if you use it all the time, you'll eventually master that and be like, yep, that's 3/8. Your other option would be 24. It's going to be, again, finer thread, meaning there's way more spirals. Okay, to dumb this down, you use a thread pitch gauge. I can do it with SAE. I'm very good with SAE. Why? I use it all the time, okay? I am not good with metric. I don't use it. And so when I see a metric fastener, I kind of reverse engineer things, okay? And using a thread pitch gauge tells me exactly what wonky, weird stuff they're doing. I still, you know, don't understand the people that say metric is easier. It's SAE. It just makes sense to me. It's what I grew up with. I don't find it difficult. I suppose somebody across the pond, if they grew up with metric, they would think this is weird. But to me, it makes sense. This stuff Very strange. All right. But note, this is gold. This is silver. That's going to tell you SAE. This is going to tell you metric. I like it. It's simple. Right here, this is very similar to what I have at work, just significantly smaller. What are we doing with this? Well, we're spinning it out. And why are we doing that? Because we're trying to open it. I've never seen one with a hole like that. Strange. Anyway, what I would do is come in. And again, I could be doing this one wrong because, like I said, I have never seen one with a hole like that. Mine are just held in. All right. This is what I do. Boom. You're like, what did you do? That is what I did. You get excellent feel with these T-handles. And obviously, if you don't understand, you see threads here, you don't see threads there. This is fixed, this is not. As I open this, you see the little jaw here is going to move out. This is going to move in. Clamps down here. Why do I always talk about liking 12-point? Guess what I can do with a 12-point socket? I can grab this. If you hate this, if it's constantly coming out, you can take a shallow socket, 12-point of a certain diameter. You're home free. All right. So not the best tap handle, but honestly pretty good. I really do like the knurling here. If you want this out on your bench, you've got a hanging hole. It could be way, way, way worse, and so I'm content with that. One of the things you rarely get that's worth anything in like a cheap set, and truth be told, here at the house, what is this replacing or upgrading? A really old Pittsburgh set. That thing, sometimes it's okay, but you know, it's one of those deals. I don't like using cheap taps. Die, maybe I can fix threads, maybe I can't. But with a tap, you're going to have a really bad day if you break a tap. And it's a lot easier to break a tap if you're using a cheap, junky tap. They're one thing that it makes a whole lot of sense to spend the money to get the best you can afford. Again, especially if you're doing an odd job, if you're dating, I don't know, a chick that drives an Austin Healey, okay, and you need to fix that, and you're like, man, this isn't going anywhere, get the one tap, okay, the weird oddball size. If you sit there and you do old Mopars, get the set, all right, but if it's something oddball, strange, funky Harbor Freight thread, sure, do a one-off, maybe get by with a cheap one, but if it's anything important that's going to be repetitive or that you're going to do again or use frequently, you will never regret buying a good tap. You will regret buying a cheap tap, but you will never regret buying a good tap. That's a very important lesson to learn early on. Most of the cheap sets are going to have something similar to this, but not near as nice. This has a good heft to it. These are going to hold the small dies, right? If you're sitting there and you're like, what is this deal? This little knurled knob, which luckily it is knurled, but this tiny, tiny screwdriver here, this would actually be where you can come in and sort of torque that down. You know what? Actually, it's not. That isn't even slotted, so they just want you to use the knurled piece, which is quite interesting. Typically, though, your El Cheapo kits, that driver would fit a screw here, and again, that just holds it in place. Now, something I don't use much is right here, and this is going to be your die holder. Again, quite nice. The knurling is very good. This is not knurled, and it does have a slot. You kind of think this one they would just knurl. Not sure what's going on there, but it is sort of held in place with this clear kind of like rubber band. I'm sure that's going to be a deal. If you take it off, it's going to break and you'll never put it back on. But if you look at these dies, kind of the funkiness of them, that's going to seat. You're going to be able to run things in. It is what it is, right? Pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. If you get to a point and you're like, man, I don't really like that, or which, while I love these, they do have one significant problem. For example, there's something at work. I've got 29 holes I have to drill and tap. All right. And so I come in there, I mark them, I center punch them. You could technically center punch without marking, but you try to, like, if your mark is off, you're like, oh, Lord. So you come in with a center punch and adjust. But mark, punch, pilot hole, right? Come in with my 1/8 inch. And then I come in and I drill. And it's the big old Milwaukee hammer drill, corded of course, and we drill that, and then I have to come in and I tap, and I have a much bigger than this one. It's National Pipe Thread, okay, in PT, which is significantly different than all of this. What is it? Is it 3/8 24? if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what I tap. And it's huge in comparison to this stuff, way bigger. And so I run this and it's awesome, but it's a very strange shaped item, right? Think of like a spherical type of a deal. And I get to like 6 to 8 on this side and 6 to 8 on this side in the bottom row where clunk, clunk, this starts running in with the actual casting, right? Like I can't use it. So what do I do in that case? I go and I grab my 5/8 socket and I put it on a ratchet and I just spin it in. And then if you have a flex head, it's really cool because you can run over here, but then when it gets super tight, you know, like straight up 90 with you, you can just come in and start ratcheting more and more. So that's what I typically do, but with stuff like this, or if this is just you boom, 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 you hit the fender and you can't go anymore. You're threading in, and now instead of you getting to, you know, we'll say an oil gallery, instead of getting to tap that, the full extent it should be tapped, you're up against the headers, and you don't want to take the headers off because that's a nightmare. So what do? Well, you need to turn the tap, but you can't get it by hand. If you can't fit a socket or whatever, it might be a situation where one of these tap handles would come in handy, right? There are people, particularly machinists, who will have very, very, very comprehensive tap handles. And it's just kind of one of those things. Some are great, some are junk, some cheap ones are really, really good. The ergonomics, the feel in hand, everyone's got their preferences. Very nice that you've got these. If you're like, what's this Tommy bar for? Well, where this one nested very nicely, I guess here they didn't want to have it set up with a nesting, you know, in the mold. So this guy just has a slot. You'll press that through on your own and then go to town. The cool thing with these is they're kind of positioned, so you can come over here and spin it, or you can kind of center it and kind of get it going. You get really, really good feel with these. You're thinking like, okay, that's cool, but man, you know, that's a lot of money for that. It's a shame you didn't get like something else with it, you know, like you're going to have to come in if you're really having a bad day. You might need to extract something. You're going to have to then drill a hole out. Lots of stuff here. Well, check this out. If I tilt you up, all right, you see this deal here? I'm going to try to keep this open without knocking anything off, which is really hard reaching around a camera. You're thinking like, oh, you just broke your case, buddy. Da-da-da-dun. All right, so what is 76 piece? It's what you saw down below. What does that say? 41. What is 76 plus 41? Well, we'll add 1. That's 77. 87, 97, 107, 117. This is how you go from the 76 piece set to the 117 piece set. If you have a comprehensive drill index, avoid this. It's not necessary. If this is going to be something that you don't have a comprehensive drill index, or you're like, man, I always break bits, my current bits suck, I wonder if these bits are better, this might be advisable. If you're going to use this for anything mobile, out in the field, at the track, anything, this might be advisable. You'll want to have at least, let's say that you 1/4, 5/16, 3/8 is all you care about from this thing. Okay, coarse thread. You're still going to want those bits. What this is right here, Irwin Hansen, if we flip this down, high-speed steel drill bit spiral screw extractor. And this gets really cool looking because if I open this, you can see right here, you got your letter I, your letter J, 1964, so it gives you the metric equivalence there. We open this up, and boom. This is where I said the Mac, where this is kind of like what I call a clear view pouch. You would think that these things suck. I've been amazed at how long some have held up. It's just one of those deals. I'm like, oh, that's going to tear. Sometimes they tear when you look at them. Sometimes they just don't tear. I can't explain it. I don't know the luck. It's just going to come down to individual applications. But you have a very comprehensive, every tap that you see here is going to correspond with one of these drills. Similarly, EX5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, we've got extractors. I'm going to just grab the biggest one for your viewing pleasure. And this is going to be putting it down there like usual. This is just going to be one of those deals where you're going to come in and you're going to have to extract stuff. That's just the way it works, right? So to have all of this included is very, very nice, at least in my humble opinion. And with that said, I don't really know what more to do here. I've almost hit the 30-minute mark where this thing will time out. And I also Had about 30, 35 minutes on the battery, so I'm going to go try to prioritize that. But this is what I picked up. Again, currently from Zoro, this thing is listing for $330. Comparable on the Mack, we just timed out there, but comparable on the Mack truck, $660. I understand if you want to go that route, that's double the price. You would have to break a lot of this stuff before you got to the point of like breaking even. It's very possible, and you know what you do and how things go. All right, but be mindful of that. Always shop around. Again, on the rethread deal, that was a deal with the flyer price. It was so close to what I could get that for off the street with a good deal. I was comfortable going through the Mack guy. With this, no. I'll deal with this as it comes. I'm either going to like these or I'm going to hate them. If I hate them, I'm going to upgrade as they break, and that won't be buying the same thing or having MacMan throw me the comparable product back. All right. So yeah, I think this is a very nice kit, again, for home auto DIY type of stuff. If your hobbies are restoring construction equipment, giant tractors, building monster trucks, rock crawlers, think about it, right? This isn't going to be comprehensive for you. It'll have a really nice small selection, but you're going to need some larger sizes, which of course they do offer off the truck or through Irwin. And similarly, if you're into tiny stuff, this might be kind of overkill, you know. But does it have anything you need? Just, you know what you do, check the sets before you go out and buy it. But I think for the vast majority of people, again, homeowner, DIY, and circle track, you know, quarter mile, drag and drive, whatever, this is a very, very solid kit, very comprehensive, great starting point to build off of. And again, made in America. If you get in a pinch and you're like, man, I wish I'd have bought this from my Mack guy, I could have gotten the drill bit and the tap replaced. Don't freak out. You can find this stuff cheap online. You can go to a local hardware store. It's not going to be hard to find Irwin Hansen drill bits or Irwin Hansen's taps, all right? Similarly, if you break these and you're like, man, these really suck, upgrade them. Switch to brands as they break. If you're never going to use 8 sizes of these, you never have to worry about them, you know? So where you can come in and where you can help is by saying, I have that. Whether it's Irwin, whether it's Mack, Matco. I think Snap-on used to use this, and then they kind of switched suppliers. If you have this kit, you'll know you have it, one way, shape, form, or the other. How do you like it? How is it held up? Are they great taps, terrible taps, great taps, bad bits? Do the extractors suck? Are they the best extractors? I just got this. It's been sitting in my floor. It's not been used. I just showcased it, told you what's inside. I can't sit here and say, man, that thing is great. I think it's a good value. I think it's packed in presentations very well, but this is not a review. This is a tool haul. Okay. Talk to me after I've had some bad times with it. And I'm like, hey, you know, that thing's actually pretty good. But for everyone else, particularly those of you that have this kit in one way, shape, or the other, how do you like it? How is it held up? Would you advise people go a different route? Would you say, hey, get the 76 piece, save the money, you can get better bits for less money, or you can get bits from your Mack guy and then replace those? Whatever your thoughts are, share them. It's your time to shine. With that said, I'm going to go check the Challenger, see if she's charged up there. We'll start. Very, very picky. Those late models, they don't have like a full 12 volts. Boy, they're not going to crank, which is crazy. Because I can have stuff, that same battery would turn over my 440. You know, it's a strange deal. But anyway, here we are. This is what we did and why I elected to go this route. I wish all tool trucks offered, like, I mean, imagine the green tool people, right? Like, if you could get this in green, you know, from your Mack or your Matco, dude, like, I think people, you'd be surprised. I'm not saying you can go charge a guy $100 to have the green case, but if it was offered, even if they had to wait because you don't want to stock it, I think people would pay to have color coordinated blow molded cases, right? Everything else gets to be kind of custom, you know. Why not blow molded cases, you know? That's one of those things. But anyway, this sort of like Carlisle colored, you know, the Irwin Hansen blue and yellowy gold. I'm fine with it. I like it. It's different, stands out. And I only have the complaint of, man, I wish Zoro wouldn't have put a freaking sticker right on top of the label. Like, you've got this giant, like, 25-acre of blow molded plastic, and where are we going to put our little product sticker? Right on top of the freaking label. I mean, like, come on, people. Like, get some freaking common sense in there. I don't know where management is in this, but I will shut this down, and boom, right there, you can kind of see, yeah, just why? Like, look at all that real estate, and you did that. Jerks. Anyway, as long as you keep the case latched, I think you'll be okay. I will tell you, this does not like to stand like that. It falls, and it falls a lot. In fact, some of these recent videos, if you heard like a catastrophic crashing sound, it was this thing. So that's why I made the video. That's why it's getting out of my floor, away from my feet. And hopefully I never have to use it. But if I do, we'll possibly have a good time. We'll have to wait and see. With that said, I got to put that stuff back in. I told you that I was going to put back in. So hope you enjoyed the video, learned a little something. Again, your thoughts and opinions always appreciated. With that said, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you jumped your Charger across the creek, you crash down, and you're able to fix anything that broke with an Irwin Hansen 117-piece tap and die set. YouTube just might notify you we got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. Well, that said, thanks again for watching, and I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.